Although this happened a few years ago, these still haunt me to this day and gives me the chills just thinking about it. Some minor details before I continue. I had a twin bed in a much smaller room that was painted dark purple at the time, so anyone who came over had to sleep on the floor, and it was usually dark even with the sunlight. With that said, let's begin. It was late one night on a Saturday and I had my boyfriend staying over that night. We had a small argument and my mom could hear us, so she came to my room to tell us to relax and go to sleep, and we can continue this in the morning, before returning to her room down the hall. My boyfriend wrapped himself in the blanket I put out for him on the floor with a pillow as I covered myself, drifting off after crying for a bit from our fight. All was silent and I was quite close to going to sleep, only to be woken by the sound of crying in my kitchen. However, the part that made it scarier was my boyfriend could hear it too, and so once it stopped I sat up and quietly said, "Mom." With no response, I got up with my boyfriend behind me and we slowly stepped into the kitchen, which was not far from my room, and saw nothing but the little light on my fridge light and my dog. I went to my parents' room and woke up my mom, and in her grogginess was confused as to why I woke her. I asked if she was crying in the kitchen and she just replied no, that she was sleeping already and was never even making any noise. Chills ran down my back from hearing that as I went back to my room and closed the door and slept with my boyfriend on the small twin bed. The crazy thing is, when we talked about it a year later, he said he didn't hear it from the kitchen, but he heard the crying coming from right in front of his face near the door to my room. Surprisingly, this happened a few days later after the first incident, and it has embedded itself in my mind. It was summer and I was home alone sleeping in my bed, and there was some light coming through my curtains. My dog was in the kitchen by herself and my door was open, so I could hear if anyone knocked on my door. Feeling myself slowly wake up, I had my head under the covers from the light and slowly, almost in a half-asleep state since I could barely see anything, I moved the covers away slowly from my eyes like I was hiding from something, which was not normal for me, but I didn't question it. I still remember my eyes were barely open, however, it was really dark, almost black, which confused me since it was almost 10 in the morning, yet I remembered how dark-colored my room was, so it wasn't of any concern. I moved my head slightly, almost seeing a dark face, which terrified me to the core when the worst feeling ever came over me. Loud as can be, I started to hear this ear-piercing scream and screech right next to my ear, and felt a pressure on my entire body like I was paralyzed with fear or someone was pushing on me. I squeezed my eyes tight and hid under the covers again as the scream just stopped abruptly, and I opened my eyes only to see the light of my room, which was brighter than what I had seen earlier, and I was shaking like I was in a freezer, and my body started to hurt a lot like I fell off a roof. I grabbed my phone and called my mom, to which she said for me to stay in my room with my dog and wait till she got home. Later that night my stepdad blessed the house, and I never slept without a nightlight since then, even though I am 18, in fear of that strange figure returning.